The Studio Live and Capture allow you to do something very, very cool, and that is do a virtual sound check. So even though the band went to Starbucks, I'm going to be able to play those tracks right back through the mixer. But before I do that, let me just talk about virtual sound check. I think that this is something that is really tough for a lot of guys that mix in church and you know, sound checks in general. And the reason is that you show up on a Sunday morning, you know, you're working out bugs in the system. Maybe there was a wedding, you know, on the Saturday before. Stuff's not patched. There's a buzz in the PA. Some musicians are late. The worship leader is frantically trying to go through the songs. I mean, I know, I play in church. I know exactly what it's like. You know, you're trying to get the music together, and it's not really a true sound check. You know, there's no way I can actually listen to the compression setting on my snare drum and tweak it in that application. But okay, let's just go back to Capture, and lo and behold, I've got a recording right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just set a little loop point, and you know, I didn't even get to the toms. So you know, they do that little intro at the beginning of the song with the toms. So I'm going to actually just set a little loop point right here, and make that loop. But if you look back at the top of the mixer, how do I get the channels from Capture back onto the Studio Live? This is so easy. Literally on every channel, there's a little Firewire return button, and I can just swipe my finger across like this, and now I have all of those channels coming right back through the mixer as if I had a band on stage. Okay, so let me go ahead and solo the, let me go ahead and solo the floor tom. Okay, so that sounds a little rumbly, but let's go ahead and, okay, that's where it ends. So we're going to move my loop point a little bit so I just get that one little section. Okay, so now let me select that channel, hit load, and find a low tom preset. Okay, still kind of hearing a little low mid kind of cardboard sound. I think it's around 400 or so, three something. Let's look at the low mids and kind of one way to kind of identify where the problem is to actually go and boost the channel till you hear the sound you're not looking for. Okay, somewhere around there, and then we'll add a little bit of high end to that as well. Yeah, so that's after. Here's before. Here's after. Starting to sound like a floor tom, okay? So now, if I wanted that to be a beginning point for my next tom, just hit, basically, copy and load it onto the channel next to it, hit load, done. So you see how that kind of goes very, very quickly. Now, I'm just doing this very, very quickly to give you kind of an illustration of how this works. Let's add some effects, because I think that that's one thing that you'd like to see. There's 2 effects processors on the Studio Live, and those are global effects that any of the channels can be assigned to, the 32-bit algorithms, really, really nice sounding delays, reverbs, ambient sounds. If you're using a delay, like let's say on the vocal, you've got a tap tempo right here on the board as well, which is really cool. But if we wanted to, you know, kind of look at the effects, if you hit the effects button, you can see I've got a plate reverb and a stereo delay already assigned to A and B. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit the effects mix control on A. And as you can see, I've got kind of, my drums are kind of assigned to this right now. Let's just kind of assign no overheads and no keys, just drums. So snare drum and these toms are now assigned. So now let's kind of listen to this section again. if I want to, give a little bit less or more, all I do is hit the mix control under Effects A, kind of turn it up or down. Okay, so now when the vocal comes in, we'll go ahead and listen to that. We'll add a little delay for the voice. So here's his vocal right here. We'll just solo it so you can hear it. We'll go to the Effects B right here.
To give unselfishly, to love the least of these. Jesus, I'm learning how to live with open hands.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. Now, we can tap it in.
All these treasures that I own will never satisfy my soul.
So, if we want to kind of adjust the feedback or something like that, we can actually go into the effects page and kind of dig in and add a little bit more feedback. But basically, once you have, the feedback set of how many repeats you want, it's just literally on the tap tempo, and you can have the tap, basically it's activated for whatever the last delay that you used. So it's always active, and whenever the song starts, I just tap in the tempo that I want the delay to be in, and it's really, really easy to do. So that's basically how you get a virtual sound check. So now what you've seen is basically 4 of the bundled software packages that come with the StudioLive. So let me just ask Ron over at CCI. Ron, what do you think?
Oh, man. I'm telling you, Rick, all 4 of them are incredible. I think the 2 of them that I really like are Virtual SoundCheck and also the Smart integration. To be able to rehearse with the band when the band's not there, to really be able to fine-tune, just like you were doing with the drums without the band, that is awesome and incredible. I wanted to do that so many times. Band leaves maybe at 8 o'clock on Thursday night. Everybody's got to go home. If I just had another 15 minutes to tweak on it, it would be great. But the Smart integration's pretty cool, too, because we all hear feedback, but you rarely get a chance to see it. And we use Smart on the professional version to optimize our sound systems that we go out and do for installations. So it's pretty incredible to have that tool available in your own church. So Ron Simonson here, president of CCI Solutions. We're producing this StudioLive webinar because we really believe in the PreSonus StudioLive mixer as a great solution for churches. And you've seen how incredible it is as a digital mixer, but also with the software packages. You've seen 4 of them. We've got 2 more coming.